Viewer discretion is advised. She thought she was meeting her best friend for coffee. She laughed. She smiled. She took a sip. Minutes later, she collapsed, foaming at the mouth, eyes rolling back, dead before she hit the floor. And the drink? It was laced with cyanide. But the most chilling part? The woman who handed her the coffee was smiling. This is the story of Jessica Wongso, a woman once called a friend, now known as the Smiling Coffee Killer. You're watching Secrets in the Shadows. Subscribe, like, and turn on notifications for more stories that demand answers. And this is a story you'll never forget. This story starts with a girl named Jessica Kumala Wongso, born on October 9th, 1988, in Jakarta, Indonesia. She came from a very rich family. Her father, Winardi Wongso, was known as the Plastic King because he ran a huge business importing plastic. While many people in Indonesia lived with very little, Jessica had everything she could ever want. Fancy clothes, nice things, a big home. She grew up with it all. In 2005, Jessica's family moved to Sydney, Australia, to grow their business. They bought a house in one of the most expensive areas, called Double Bay. But Jessica didn't go with them right away. She stayed behind in Jakarta to finish high school. Her family paid people to look after her while she studied. Jessica loved art. She was very good at drawing and loved video games. After high school, in 2007, she moved to Sydney to join her family. There, she started studying graphic design at a school called Billy Blue College of Design. That's where she met Wayan, Mirna Salihin. Mirna was also from Indonesia, and like Jessica, she came from a wealthy family. Her father owned a big shipping business. Mirna was sweet, quiet, and kind, the opposite of Jessica, who was loud, funny, and loved being the center of attention. Even though they were different, they became really good friends. After they finished college, Mirna went back to Jakarta with her boyfriend Arif, and Jessica stayed in Sydney. Jessica started working for Ambulance New South Wales, but her life started to fall apart. She had a boyfriend named Patrick, and the relationship wasn't going well. Jessica told people that Patrick used drugs and was violent. She became depressed and angry. She lost her job and even crashed her car into a nursing home while driving drunk. Things just kept getting worse. Jessica was struggling with serious mental health issues. She felt hopeless and alone. In 2015, she was hospitalized at least 5 times because she didn't want to live anymore. Ambulances came to her house again and again. Months earlier, they had argued at dinner when Mirna told Jessica to leave Patrick. Jessica stormed off and never spoke to her again. Patrick finally left her, and Jessica didn't take it well. She sent him thousands of angry texts and even scared his family. He had to get a restraining order to protect himself. Jessica also threatened her boss after losing her job. Meanwhile, Mirna was doing great. She was happy, in love, and planning her dream wedding. In November 2015, she married Arif in Bali. It was a beautiful event with all their friends, except one. Jessica wasn't invited. Some say Jessica was deeply hurt by this. She and Mirna hadn't been close for a while. They had a fight months earlier when Mirna told Jessica to break up with Patrick. Jessica didn't like being told what to do. After that, she walked out of a dinner and never said goodbye. Their friendship was broken, but Jessica didn't forget. In January 2016, Jessica returned to Jakarta. She messaged Mirna and their old friend Hani. She said, "Let's meet up. My treat." They planned to meet at a fancy coffee shop called Olivier Cafe on January 6th. Jessica got there 90 minutes early. She chose a seat far from the security cameras. She brought shopping bags and carefully placed them in a way that blocked the view. Then she ordered 3 drinks, including a Vietnamese iced coffee, the one Myrna said she liked. She paid ahead and waited. When Myrna and Hani arrived, Jessica greeted them with a smile. But within seconds of taking a sip of the iced coffee, Myrna started gasping and collapsed. She was foaming at the mouth, convulsing and unresponsive. Staff ran over to help. Hani cried. The cafe manager panicked, but Jessica stayed calm, too calm. Then she said something strange. "What did you put in that coffee?" Blaming the cafe, that one comment made the manager suspicious. The manager saved the cup, and later, that cup would help solve the mystery. By the time Myrna reached the hospital, she was gone. What happened that day shocked the entire country. 2 friends, 1 drink, 1 dark secret. Was this a tragic accident or something much more chilling? The day Myrna collapsed at the cafe, something felt off. While everyone around her panicked, calling for help, crying, trying to save her, Jessica Wongso stayed strangely calm. She barely showed emotion. And then she did something odd. She looked at the manager and said, "What did you put in the coffee?" It was a strange thing to say. No one had even thought about the coffee yet. But Jessica, she was already pointing fingers. Later, police reviewed the cafe's security footage. What they found only made things more suspicious. Jessica had arrived 90 minutes early. She chose a seat hidden from the cameras, placed shopping bags on the table to block the view, and ordered and paid for all 3 drinks, including the Vietnamese iced coffee that Myrna would later sip. And here's the part that truly shocked investigators. Jessica had been alone with the drinks before anyone else arrived. She handled Myrna's coffee just before she took her first sip. When the autopsy results came back, it was confirmed. There was cyanide in Myrna's stomach and in the coffee. With the footage, the toxicology report, and Jessica's bizarre behavior, the police moved quickly. On January 30th, 2016, just 3 weeks after Myrna's death, Jessica was officially named a suspect. That same day, she was arrested at a hotel in central Jakarta. Police said she showed signs of being calculating, even manipulative. Jessica was charged with premeditated murder, one of the most serious crimes under Indonesian law. If found guilty, she faced life in prison. The trial began in June 2016 at the Central Jakarta District Court. The courtroom was packed. Journalists, onlookers, and grieving family members sat shoulder to shoulder as the prosecution laid out their case. Their argument rested on 3 pillars: the cafe's CCTV footage, witness accounts of Jessica's strange behavior, and toxicology reports showing cyanide poisoning. Jessica had arrived at the cafe 90 minutes early, ordered the drinks, and positioned her shopping bag in front of the glasses, obscuring the view from the cameras. The prosecution argued this was when she slipped the poison in. The defense pushed back. There were no eyewitnesses. No cyanide was found in Jessica's belongings. No footage showed her adding anything to the drink. They argued that in a busy cafe, anyone could have tampered with the beverage. Still, expert toxicologists testified the cyanide found in Myrna's stomach was concentrated. The reaction was almost immediate, indicating a deliberate, high-dose poisoning. One psychiatric witness described Jessica's demeanor as emotionally flat, consistent with planned violence. The media frenzy didn't help. Jessica's smile in court became a national obsession. Clips of her calm expressions were played repeatedly, leading to accusations of a trial by media. At one point, the judge reportedly asked that close-up shots be limited to reduce bias. A major moment came when cafe employees testified that Jessica had visited the restaurant alone days earlier and sat at the same table. Prosecutors claimed she was studying the layout planning. The defense called it a coincidence. In October 2016, the court reached its decision. Jessica Wongso was found guilty of premeditated murder and sentenced to 20 years in prison. But Indonesia's parole system would later allow her release after just 8. The verdict was in, but for many, the story had just begun. Justice was served, or was it? When the judge sentenced Jessica Wongso to 20 years in prison in 2016, Myrna Salihin's family felt a brief moment of peace. Prosecutors had asked for the death penalty, but Indonesian courts rarely impose it on women. Jessica's lawyers appealed the conviction, calling the evidence too thin. The case dragged on until 2017, when the Supreme Court upheld the verdict. For a while, it seemed like the case had finally ended. But in 2024, whispers of early parole started to surface. Under Indonesian law, inmates can reduce their sentence with good behavior up to 15 days per month, plus bonus credits for working or studying. That means Jessica could walk free after just 13 years. Officials confirmed she's earned those credits, working in the laundry at Pondok Bambu Prison with no disciplinary violations on record. Myrna's family was devastated. "She took my daughter's future," Myrna's father said. "Why should she get hers back?" The family launched a petition to block Jessica's parole. Within weeks, it gained over 50,000 signatures. But here's the problem. Indonesia's parole process is done behind closed doors. A small board reviews each file in private. No public hearing, no input from the victim's family. And educated, well-behaved inmates often have an edge. Jessica completed anger management. She took a textile design course. She followed the rules, but she never admitted guilt, never expressed real remorse. A 2023 psych report noted, Jessica still described the trial as a misunderstanding, and Myrna's death, just an unfortunate accident. Myrna's family hasn't stopped fighting. They created a foundation. They're pushing for a new law, Myrna's Law, to block early parole for premeditated murderers. It hasn't passed yet, but their fight continues. As of now, Jessica Wongso remains behind bars, but the parole board could decide at any time. And the public may never know until it's too late, because even a 20-year sentence doesn't always mean 20 years. And sometimes the deepest wounds aren't from the crime itself, but from a system that forgets who the victim really was. Jessica's smile haunted a nation, but Myrna's silence should haunt us more. What makes someone kill with a smile? Jessica Wongso's case wasn't just about poison in a coffee cup. It was about what happens when trust shatters and darkness takes its place behind a familiar face. During her psychological evaluation, forensic psychiatrists noted troubling patterns. Jessica displayed traits of narcissism, an inflated sense of self-worth, and a lack of empathy. But she wasn't diagnosed with a personality disorder. Her mental health history revealed depression, emotional instability, and unresolved grief after a painful breakup. Some experts saw a woman pushed past her limits. Others saw something much colder. The smile became the symbol. In court, cameras caught Jessica smiling, almost constantly. Was it nerves, denial, or satisfaction? Behavioral analysts studied courtroom footage of Jessica watching Myrna die. Some believed she was trying to control how she appeared, projecting innocence. Others saw something more unsettling, that her smile widened when the crime was mentioned, as if reliving the moment brought her a twisted sense of control. We usually think of killers as angry, aggressive, or visibly disturbed. But Jessica defied that image, calm, poised, smiling, and that smile changed everything. The media ran with the narrative. The smiling killer became her label long before the verdict. Studies show smiling defendants are seen as 23% more likely to be guilty, even without stronger evidence. And in Indonesia, where female killers are rare and mental health still carries stigma, that perception carried weight. Her psychiatric records weren't fully heard in court. Judges cut off testimony, calling it irrelevant, but those records painted a chilling picture of a woman who viewed emotional pain as betrayal and betrayal as something to punish. Experts outlined 3 possible motives: revenge, shame, control. The timing aligned. Jessica poisoned Myrna weeks after a failed business deal, and rumors of a falling out over her breakup. She chose the table. She ordered the drink. She stayed close enough to watch the outcome, but far enough to avoid suspicion. Was the smile a mask or the truth? Even now, mental health professionals say we may never fully understand Jessica Wongso. But the case leaves behind more than headlines. It leaves us questioning what evil really looks like. Not all killers hide in the shadows. Sometimes they smile. This case left a nation stunned. A coffee date between old friends turned into a tragedy that still sparks debate to this day. Was it cold, calculated murder, or something more complex, hiding beneath the surface? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Thank you for watching Secrets in the Shadows. If this story gripped you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you never miss another chilling case. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and remember, the darkest secrets often hide in plain sight.